we are all reminded of just how unpredictable and devastating wildland fires can be. Throughout the summer, our fire rangers, pilots, and other fire response staff worked tirelessly in some of the most challenging conditions in recent memory. They worked long hours on the front lines, often in rugged terrain and remote areas, to fight the fires that threaten people and communities. Behind the scenes, there were countless staff supporting our operations, such as ensuring our fire equipment was maintained, our aircraft was maintained, and vital goods and services were delivered to support our operations. And also making sure our communications and IT systems were serviceable. All of our staff's actions are a testament to their training, their dedication, and experience. And it is important that we all remain ready and resilient against the threat of wildland fires, both now and into the future. And with that, I'll turn things over to Timmins MPP, George Pirie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that. And Wache, bonjour. Today we are gathered in the city of Timmins. I want to acknowledge that these lands are situated in Treaty 9 territory and the traditional territory of Matagami First Nation. I wish to recognize the long history of First Nations and Métis people in Ontario. This is an especially important announcement for the citizens of Timmins. As you know, it's always great to be here in the city of Timmins, but it's especially, from my point of view, especially important that Minister Smith is here today with us. You know, there's two real big ministries in the province. One is Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health. But in the north, the most important ministry is the Ministry of Natural Resources. It affects virtually everything we do in the north, so it's just such a pleasure for me to have Minister Smith with us. And he's doing a phenomenal job. As you know, his background in municipal politics, he was president of AMO, so he's got an incredible breadth of experience related to all issues in all municipalities in the north, and he does a fantastic job. Wildland fire is an important issue, especially given the extent of the challenging fire season we have had this year. As a northerner and having growing up in South Porcupine, I know how important forest fire management is to keep our residents, homes, and businesses safe. Everybody realizes the history of the Porcupine. It was devastated in 1911. That fire destroyed the Porcupine. I think there was over 200 fatalities. Again in 1916, portions of the Porcupine, and of course in 1922, we see the memorials along the highways. So it's an ever-present danger in the north. Everybody will recognize the number 9 fire in 2012. It's an incredible, frightening experience to be living in a town, in a city that's covered with smoke, and you really don't know what's happening next. But the efforts of our people here in the region that keep us safe from forest fire are incredibly important. We can't take them for granted. We know how much of our livelihood depends on our forests. Forest fires are a dangerous threat not only to our well-being and prosperity, but also to our way of life. That is why today's announcement is so important. With that, I am pleased to introduce Minister Smith to make today's announcement.
Thanks again, George. Well, good morning, everyone. And George, thank you for that kind introduction. It's always fantastic to be here in Timmins. And Your Worship, good morning to you as well. It's fantastic to see you again and everyone that's gathered today. In Chris's words and in George's words that preceded mine today, you certainly touched on just how important fighting fires is and wildland fires and the challenge that it can be. So let me start by adding to the chorus of thanks that we've heard this morning for our wildland firefighters. And as Chris mentioned, and I'm glad he highlighted, everybody that is connected all the way through the continuum of allowing the work to be done. The last act is fighting the fire. There is so much that happens to get to that fire, to plan for the season, the logistics behind it. It's an incredible group of men and women, and I just want to take another opportunity to thank them. They are the very, very best. They are internationally recognized for a reason, and I'm so thankful that we have so many wonderful and dedicated people as part of our program here in Ontario. It has been a challenging year. A year with over 700 forest fires that has burned more than 425,000 hectares. And when we look at that from our 10-year average perspective, that's almost triple the number of hectares we've seen. And yet we can almost consider ourselves fortunate when we look at the other jurisdictions in Canada and the challenges that they have had in Nova Scotia and Quebec and Alberta and Northwest Territories and British Columbia. Nevertheless, it has been a challenging year in Ontario. Our firefighters have stepped up. The demand on resources has been significant, and it's imperative that we continue in Ontario to look for new ways to strengthen our firefighting efforts. We want to be able to support those fire rangers that work so hard in protecting communities here in the north. And again, I can't stress enough that they do such a good job, that they are recognized internationally. So that's why I'm here today to announce that our government is investing $20.5 million to continue to modernize how we fight wildland fires and improve our understanding of the science behind these fires. Continuing to invest in Ontario's wildland fire program will allow us to be even better prepared to withstand wildland fire emergencies in the future, and will help us continue to be able to keep people and property safe. And through this funding, we're investing in aerial fire suppression technologies, including drones, to help us detect fires earlier and see where our efforts can be most effective. We'll be enhancing staffing capacity by hiring and training more critical fire response staff. And our government will also enter into a number of collaborative research agreements with universities and institutions. These agreements will help us better understand the evolving science behind wildland fire management, improve our knowledge of fire behavior, and create new ways to support prevention and response efforts to wildland fires. Some of the work we're doing is part of a broader initiative to assess how Ontario is positioned to meet the current and future needs for disaster management for several natural types of hazards, but the focus today is on fire. And we'll soon be engaging with key partners and the broader public on important opportunities to enhance investment in prevention, such as reducing wildland fires that obviously have negative impacts on our communities, businesses, and resources. We'll be talking to partners about how we can better support preparedness planning and capacity to manage natural disasters. And today's announcement also doesn't just focus on the recruitment of new staff and new technology, but supports our existing firefighting professionals as well. An important part of this will be enhancing their skills development and promoting and maintaining safety on the job. And in addition to this funding, we're also taking steps to help our current fire rangers. For example, we're developing a psychological safety program, breaking down financial barriers to recruitment and retention, and looking at a number of items in our collective agreement to ensure consistent application, including standby and on-call payments. So I look forward to seeing the results of this important investment as we continue to ensure Ontario remains, again, that internationally recognized jurisdiction in wildland fire management. We will continue to make the necessary investments to keep fire rangers and our communities safe here in the north. Thank you very much.